Welcome to Guns 101, brought to you by the Self-Defense Radio Network. This is our welcome message for new gun owners. My partner here is Amanda with Eye on the Target Radio. I'm Rob Morse from the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. We have Neil Widener from Active Self-Protection with us. Neil, you were mentioning that you almost grew up with a shotgun in your hand hunting birds. I don't know a lot about long guns and shotguns, so are they a good choice for home defense?
It really depends on who you talk to, but a lot of people will tell you yes. One of the things that the detractors will say is that it's longer, so you can't maneuver around. But if you really sit there and measure yourself with a home defense shotgun versus completely pressing out with a gun, it's about the same length. So, the nice thing, there's a lot of very positive things about a self-defense shotgun in that it might be a little bit more forgiving with its pattern. It might give you some additional things that a handgun won't, as far as reloads and all of that. Huh. On the other side of it, there's some challenges with them as well. And if you're one of the new, 100 million folks that just bought a gun and all you could get was a shotgun, there's some stuff that you need to know. I would start.
Give me the top three.
The recoil management is a big one. In shooting a self-defense shotgun or any shotgun, when you're a big fat guy like me that weighs 230, 240, walking around with a 12 gauge shooting birds is, you just get used to it. But the average person that hasn't shot a shotgun, it kicks. And so when I say recoil management is getting back on target once you've pulled the trigger, whether you're at the range or whether you're out hunting or whether you're defending your life, you're not gonna probably just shoot once. So once that gun goes off, it is gonna kick. Chances are it's gonna be dark. You got a 50-50 shot that it's gonna be dark. And if it's dark, you're gonna have a huge flash of fire from the 12 gauge shell as it goes off. And you're gonna need to manage through the flash, and you're going to need to manage through the kick to your shoulder and all of that. So, if you went out and got one of these things, the biggest and most important thing to do is go to the range and spend some time and put a minimum of 200 rounds through that and get a feel for what that recoil does and how fast you can cycle it. If it's a pump versus an auto loader or whatever, that's probably a whole nother rabbit hole we can go down. But can you get back on target for a second shot quickly and effectively, and do you know what it's like to pull that trigger? Is that fair?
That's good. The top three that a newbie needs, the first you mentioned was recoil management.
Yep.
Second on the list would be?
Second on the list is, I would say, is ammo selection. There are a ton of people out there that might not have the level of training that some of the folks on here do, that will talk about birdshot is good enough and a shotgun is fine. If you're going to shoot a shotgun, I can do this with birdshot. And I, a few years ago might have been one of these guys because I've shot a bird or two in my life and I know where the BBs are going when I pull the trigger, right? But a self-defense shotgun is a little different than that gun that we go out to shoot ducks or geese or pheasants with. It's a different animal. They've got different patterning, different chokes, and that's all probably, shotgun 102 versus 101. So we won't really go into that. Okay. Just understand that birdshot is not going to penetrate the way that you expect it to. And there's a video on active self-protection that really helped me turn the corner on this as well, in that there is a guy that walks into a dorm in a college, and I don't remember the school or anything along those lines, but he's carrying a shotgun. Looks a lot like probably the gun that most of us carry out to the field to shoot birds with. And a girl comes walking down the stairs, comes on camera with her phone, in her, she's got her nose in her phone, not really paying attention, which is, self-defense 101, pay attention. But she walks right up to this guy and he puts one into her chest at about 6 yards. And she turns around and walks away and lived. This is,
wow.
Birdshot does not. Now, she was lucky. I'll give you that. I'm very lucky that it didn't, sever the aorta or something along those lines. But birdshot does not have the penetration on a human body through the, everything that we've got here as far as ribs and, clothing and all of that. It's made to shoot through feathers of a bird and break some bones. That's what bird shot is for. Therefore, birds, hence the name. Okay. So when we choose ammo for a shotgun, there's another version of this called buckshot. This is the stuff that I use right here. So shameless plug to Federal. They give me nothing, but I buy this ammo. But this is buckshot. It's double-aught buck is what it's called, and it's an 8 pellet. For home self-defense, you don't need 3-inch magnums, any of that crazy stuff that the hunters use. They're using that for distance to reach out. But if you look in your house, your furthest shot is not going to be 60 or 80 yards. It's going to be, depending on your house, 15, 20 yards probably max, and that'll get us into number 3 here on my list. But 2 3/4 inch double-aught buck is what you need. There is a 9 pellet version and an 8 pellet version. And in my humble opinion, and through some of the stuff of people that I talk to, the 8 pellet is better because it holds a pattern better. For some reason, when you shoot the 9 pellet, which means there's 9 pellets inside of each one of these, there's always a flyer. It's crazy that, as you watch it on your target, you'll see 8 right here, and then there'll be 1 sitting over here. That 1, if you shot that in your house, is going to hit something, and you want it to hit the bad guy. So the recommendation from most of the experts that I hang out with and know say use the 8 pellet. That's better. So more is not better in that scenario. So that'd be number 2. And then number 3 would be shooting under stress and pattern that gun. Every shotgun, a really good friend of mine named Matt last night, I was talking to him, and he's an expert when it comes to shotguns. High-end guy. Any question I ever have, I go to Matt, right? But what Matt, the term that he uses, every barrel is a snowflake, and barrels are all just a little different. They've got a little different, groove, and depending on use, guns wear in and they wear out. Depends on the life cycle of your gun and all of that. So you need to know what your pattern is. So go to the range while you're shooting those 200 rounds, put a target up and understand where everything's going. Understand where, if you're aiming here, are you hitting there or are you hitting over here a little bit? Get a feel for where that is and be ready on that day to know what that pattern does at the longest distance in your house. So if you measure the longest hallway in your house or the biggest room, if it's 15 yards across or 12 yards across, go set up at 15 yards or 12 yards and understand what that pattern is with the ammo that you're going to carry, not the bird shot that that you're using for practice. Nothing wrong with taking bird shot and going out and shooting a few rounds to just get a feel for it. But that self-defense ammo that you just hopefully spent some money on with your shotgun, see how that works and what the pattern looks like. And if the worst day of your life happens, you're going to know where those shots are going to go.
Well, Neil,
so that's my top 3. Is that fair?
Those are great. Those are great points of advice. And when you say to someone, they just spent X number of dollars to buy a gun, and now you want them to buy 200 rounds of shotgun shells to practice with, you're not just talking about the price of the ammo. You're talking about the value of running that ammo through that gun and doing it repetitively. So by the time you're done with 200 rounds, you understand how that gun works. You understand how you load it, how you unload it. You understand what all the buttons do. And that is absolutely priceless to a gun owner. And so that's, it was unstated, but it's in there. Prego, it's in there. It's in the sauce right along with it. And it's great advice. So honestly,
can I add number 3.A or something like 3.1? So if you're a new shotgun owner, for us gun folks, we all know the whole SIG drop safety thing, and there's some challenges there. Most handguns are made to be drop safety, so if they drop, they're designed to not go off. Long guns are not like that. If you are using a shotgun for home self-defense, the way to stage your gun in your safe or wherever, and again, stage it in a safe. Get a quick access safe that you can get that out. Mm-hmm. Don't leave it sitting in a corner. That's silliness, right? But stage it in a way that they call it cruiser ready. So this is how, if you've been unfortunate like I have and got a speeding ticket, you get into the cop's car with him and his shotgun is sitting there. it's cruiser ready. There's not one in the chamber there. It's loaded up. The magazine is full, but it's on safe, and there is not one in the magazine or in the chamber. Pardon me. So when I say drop safety, what that means is if you take a loaded shotgun, take it off of safety, and drop it on the ground, there's a better than average chance it's going to go off. If anybody has hunted for a few years, they've been around when some guy stepped in a hole or something bad happened and they fell and that gun hit the ground, they go off. There is not the drop safety feature in a long gun and in shotguns or rifles. There is the chance that'll go off. So when you're staging it, stage it without one in the chamber. And when the day comes, it's really easy to pump or to pull the lever on an auto loader to get that thing loaded. So that would be my 3.1.
3.1. That's your practice. That's the practice that you need to have with that gun.
Yep.
So folks, this is Guns 101. Our guest is Neil Widener from Active Self Protection, and we're talking about what the value is of having a shotgun as your personal protection device in your home. And there's more videos, so check them out. Guns 101. Where you found this one, there's more. We'll be back.